Well, hello everyone, and welcome here to Exeter. Nick Anastas, Kristen Cameron with you, getting set for the 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game. It's St. Thomas and Gilford. This one a rematch from about a month ago. 2-goal contest, won by St. Thomas. A final score of 11-9. And also a rematch of last year's state championship game in Division III. That was a 13-8 final. Again, won by St. Thomas. Both these teams seemingly on a collision course. St. Thomas, the number 1 seed. The Saints, 14-1 during the regular season. 12 in a row they've won now, including the 2 tournament victories over Co-Brown and Bow in the quarterfinals and semifinals, respectively. Gilford, they're also red hot, 7 straight under head coach Jen Watson. Both teams received a bye in the first round. The Golden Eagles topped Laconia 19-2. And then another blowout victory over Hopkinton in the semifinals, 18-2. So this one really, Kristen, anybody's guess, as these 2 teams clearly the class of the Division III division.
Yeah, these 2 schools have been the front runners, and not surprising looking at their rosters, seeing some really talented players, some college commits. Recognize a lot of the girls who play club lacrosse, who are playing year-round, leveling up their game. Excited for this matchup tonight.
St. Thomas with 5 seniors, Gilford with 9. As you mentioned, college commits both ways. Tallulah Gregg, a junior, committed to Vanderbilt, playing for St. Thomas, midfielder. And Charlotte DeTola, another middie on her way to Vermont, also a member of the class of 2026. For Gilford, they're led by Olivia Keenan, who may be the best player on the field. Senior, committed to Merrimack College, outstanding regular season campaign. And a little bit of history as well. St. Thomas, as we mentioned, defending champs. Runners-up in 2023, so it's their 3rd straight trip to the championship round. They were also runners-up way back in 2008. Gilford on a hunt to capture their first ever state championship after once again coming close last year, falling in the final round against the Saints. What do we watch for here? It's both teams pretty evenly matched in all phases.
Yeah, the championship game brings a different element. There's a different level of intensity, of nerves, of excitement. And so looking to see both teams come out aggressive out of the gate, but really who can maintain their composure. Draw controls play a huge role in the game because every possession matters in what I expect to be a very competitive game. And then, especially in the last championship game that we saw, goalie play can make a big difference. Which team's goaltender can come up with those stops, create that transition offense for their teams. Those would be my keys to the game.
Starting lineups being introduced to this growing crowd here in Exeter. Soggy weather conditions here at Bill Ball Stadium. Temperature cooperating, about 62 degrees. We've had kind of light rain, misty, on and off for the last several hours, still overcast here. Lights are on and becoming more and more necessary as we head towards sundown. The Saints, the top overall seed. St. Thomas 14-1 during the regular season. Again, capped off the schedule with 10 straight wins going into the tournament and have now won 12 straight. Gilford 12-2, right behind them in the standings, the number 2 seed. And again, they've won now 7 straight. Got a good crowd here. Standing student sections, a line behind each bench along the near sidelines from our vantage point. And despite a little bit of a drive, not too bad, I guess, for the St. Thomas fans coming down from Dover, a little bit of a further trek from the Lakes region for the Golden Eagles fans. But nonetheless, they have turned out. Got a full parking lot, folks continuing to stream in. It's the kind of atmosphere we were hoping to see tonight for a championship game.
Yeah, both schools traveled really well. I see some blue and white pom-poms on the St. Thomas side. They have shown up with their school spirit, and they're ready to have a fun time tonight.
4 officials on hand as well for the best statewide. Linda Osborne, David Pelletier, Jacqueline Driscoll, and Paula Goff. All right, let's get into some of the X's and O's here, Kristen, the keys to the game. You mentioned the goaltending. Obviously, that can be penciled in both ways, but what are some of the areas that each team are looking to gain an advantage in?
Yeah, now, I mean, looking at the Gilford roster, they have veterans on this team. They are a very upperclassman-heavy team who have experience, who have played in the state championship last year. You know, I think the keys for them are going to be shutting down the offensive firepower that is Tallulah Gregg and Charlotte Totola.
Let's step aside for the national anthem.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. So become another lacrosse program like Bedford, Goffstown, or Memorial that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Ready to rock and roll here in Exeter, a rematch of last year's state championship game between St. Thomas and Gilford. The Saints and the Golden Eagles vying for supremacy in Division III. Earlier tonight, we saw Portsmouth capture their second straight state championship in Division I as they downed Souhegan in a competitive game. 12-7 the final score there. Congratulations to Portsmouth and to Souhegan as well. A very good run for the Sabres. St. Thomas in their home whites, the top seed overall. You see the goaltender with her back to us. That's the senior Chloe Baker, one of 5 seniors for St. Thomas. And Kristen, you talked about it. Gilford, very experienced, coming back with 9 seniors, seemingly on a mission to right last year's wrong, so to speak.
Yeah, they have a lot to play for here tonight. Redemption against St. Thomas. You know, I think this is going to be a competitive matchup. Really, your record, everything leading up to this game, it doesn't matter. It's all behind you. It's just one game left to play, and both teams are going to put everything they have into this.
In the draw circle for the Saints, Tallulah Gregg, the junior, committed to Vanderbilt. Going to go up against Olivia Keenan. senior committed to Merrimack College.
Circle play was really, key in that last championship matchup that we saw, where often players on the circle were coming up with these possessions. And so we'll see how these draw takers match up, whether they're looking to self-draw or push or pull to one of their teammates on the circle.
Underway here in Exeter. 62 degrees at game time. We're off and running at 7:23 Eastern time. Opening faceoff belongs to St. Thomas. Errant pass. As the ball ends up out of bounds on the near side, it's turned over. So Gilford trying to race out of their own end via the near sideline. That's Addison Harris, one of the 9 seniors. That's a turnover. It was poked away cleanly, it looked like, from behind. Meanwhile, on a mission is Elizabeth Horden, the junior, draws some attention out in front of the cage and draws the officials' attention as well. Some illegal contact there. And now Holden with a chance. Well, we thought we were going to see a free position shot from straight away. Instead, she is repositioned to the near side wing.
Foul is right outside the 8 meter, which means not a critical scoring area foul. So they're just going to set Holden up on the 12 meter.
A little bit of an early start from Holden. Just over a minute gone by, waiting for the officials to go ahead and give the green light. And now it appears the officials are going to check in with the scores table. So a little bit of a delay here. The clock is stopped with 10:47 to go. Again, that's David Pelletier, one of the umpires. Now Holden is good to go. The pass backdoor. Ball ends up in the air. Corralled by Gregg, and Gregg is going to score. Tallulah Gregg kept her eye on the ball there, able to track it out of the sky and then put it in the back of the net. It's 1-0 St. Thomas.
For being only a minute and 17 seconds into this game, she had a lot of touches already. She was, she's a player that we're going to see have the ball a lot. She's going to be an impact player, very aggressive style player. We're going to see her in the draw circle all night, and, she is the quarterback of their offense.
Yeah, the goaltender in that fray as well, trying to track that ball out of the sky, but Lily Winward couldn't quite reel it in, and Gregg makes her pay. So it's 1-0 St. Thomas. Bouncing ball off the second faceoff is controlled by Gilford. Fresh out of the circle is Keenan leading the charge off the back foot. He's going to find the trailer. That's Abigail Watson. Watson spins to her left. Trying to shake off the defender. Pesky defensive effort by Charlotte Totola. The shot ends up with the goaltender, Chloe Baker.
Yeah, that was, if you're Chloe Baker, that's exactly how you want to start this game, with a big save. I love the energy from the St. Thomas fan section. They are fired up by that save and this clear.
Yeah, you can hear them. Nice clear. St. Thomas hoping to cash in. Backdoor cut. Bouncer kicked away. The rebound is up for grabs. And a whistle is going to stop the action and reward St. Thomas. First save for Winward. One stop for each goaltender, but tough task on the way for the senior, hoping to stop a free position shot here. So Holden on a charge to the cage, wraparound shot. May have gotten a piece of the iron. That's a loose ball, goal line extended, tracked down along the far sideline by St. Thomas's Kensley Harris. She's on her way to Newberry College to play field hockey. One of St. Thomas's better all-around athletes. Here she is. Shot and score. Harris finding a sweet spot out in front. Pass on time and on target. The shot goes top shelf, and it's 2-0 St. Thomas with less than 3 minutes gone by.
Good inside look there, finding Harris. Good off-ball move. I think heads-up play from Tallulah Gregg there. Again, we talked her out. She's just an all-around strong athlete, good vision as a feeder, very capable of shooting and dodging. Seeing a little bit of versatility from her early on. But so far what I'm seeing from St. Thomas is they're moving the ball. They're moving the ball well.
Some good end-to-end action there for the Saints as well. They come up with the stop. They get the clear. And then a nice pass on an assisted goal. It's 2-0. It's the start the defending champs were hoping to get off to. Physical play on the ensuing face-off, and a little bit of a push there offered up by St. Thomas is going to give Gilford the ball. And it's right back to the senior on her way to Merrimack College, Olivia Keenan. Keenan is double-teamed and draws contact outside the circle. Again, the officials are going to be eagle-eyed here in terms of the restarts. We've seen that throughout the tournament. 2 passes later, we get a shot and a score. Lean Davignon, the senior, left open there. Perhaps a communication breakdown defensively. Gilford takes advantage to get on the board, and it's 2-1.
They come right back, the Golden Eagles. And Olivia Keenan was really critical in that play, fighting for the draw control, handling the contact, clearing it into the offensive end. Nick, I should have looked at this pronunciation before. Do you think it's Leanne?
Leanne. Leanne Davignon.
Let's go with
the
that.
Senior. That sounds good. 9 seniors on this roster. And again, this is a group determined to get back to this spot after falling short in the championship round a year ago. Gilford 12-2 during the regular season. One of those losses was to St. Thomas. They met back on May the 14th, an 11-9 win for the Saints. Meanwhile, off and running again is Gregg. And again, Gregg draws the whistle, a free position shot coming up.
Yeah, she's the type of player who you almost have to foul, because if you don't stop her, she's just going to run it in and score either way.
Gregg cocks back, fires, and scores. 2 goals early for the junior. The Vanderbilt commit makes it 3-1 St. Thomas.
Yeah, she's showing early on why she was a highly touted recruit in that 2026 class. Really handles the ball well and released that shot with some good power behind it.
Moves with some fluidity as well. Very smooth to watch. And they ask her to do a lot here. Expected to take the majority, if not all, of the face-offs tonight. And that's been the case, at least so far, through 4 minutes. Back in the circle again for a rematch with Keenan. 2-2 on the draws so far unofficially. This one up in the air, but a false start. It's going to reward Gilford. Gregg a little too early there. Meanwhile, Keenan going to switch hands. Keenan trying to push. Pass, though. Jennifer Watson off target. Ball on the ground. Watson trying to stay with it. Draws some contact. And the officials are going to keep it at this end.
Yeah, so far at Golden Eagles, they're not afraid to pass it to the inside. They're taking those higher risk type plays, and we'll see if that pays off for them. But I like the way that they're moving on and off ball so far.
There's a save for Baker, denying Keenan. Gilford gets to the ground ball via Cameron Coots. Now back on the attack come the Golden Eagles, trying to slice this early St. Thomas lead in half with 5 minutes gone by in the opening frame. 2 players behind the cage for the Golden Eagles. Pass from over the top. Ends up at the top of the box for Connolly off the bounce. Contested attempt for Keenan. Results in another whistle. And I believe a free position shot coming.
It sure is. Yeah, again, a couple more risky passes just in a row there. Fortunately, Keenan drew the contact, but that would have been a tough one to handle.
Keenan going to charge the cage. Had it poked loose from behind, and it's scooped up by Baker. Not sure which defender got a piece. Either way, it may have prevented a goal. It keeps this score at 3-1. And now St. Thomas trying to work out of their own end. Ava Leiter, senior defender, comes right up the chute across midfield with 3 players in pursuit. hit a little bit on the arm there on the pass. We get another whistle. And a restart coming for Holden.
A lot of calls early in the game. I think, players learning the refs' style, what they're looking for, how closely they're calling this game.
And how difficult is that to adjust if you are a player?
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit of time. We're 7 or so minutes into this game. You kind of know by now, what the refs are looking for, specifically horizontal, vertical sticks, checks in the sphere.
Meanwhile, Reese Anderson able to sneak behind the defense and put a bouncer past the goaltender Windward to make it 4-1 St. Thomas. So the early lead for head coach Jillian Carroll. Exactly what St. Thomas was hoping to see through the first 6+ minutes of the game. That's going to lead to a timeout from her Gilford counterpart, head coach Jen Watson, as the Golden Eagles want to talk it over. So Reese Anderson with her first goal tonight. St. Thomas feeling pretty good on the home sideline with a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job playing fast and doing it well, and I think that is why the Golden Eagles need a timeout here. St. Thomas, they're working the Golden Eagles defense, and you got to stop this run early in a game like this. It's too early to say that this game is going to run away from them. I think this is a good timeout opportunity to reset your team. If I'm them, obviously you want to talk about those defensive possessions. What can they do to stop the ball, clean up the fouling, not put that team on the 8-meter? But also offensively, not the cleanest looks that I've seen. I know that team is, capable of more disciplined lacrosse. We talked about it in the pregame. There are a lot of jitters and, nerves going into this game, with the energy that you have coming into a state championship with all that's on the line. And so it's a good opportunity for both teams to reset right now.
Is the weather a factor at all? A little bit of a slippery scenario here in terms of the wet turf, the wet ball. Does that factor in at all, or I'd suppose it's really a neutralizer for both teams?
Players seem to be handling it well. I haven't noticed any impact. I think if we start to see any driving rain or anything heavier coming down, but, I'd rather play in this than 90-degree heat.
That's a good point. All right, out of the timeout, Gilford hoping to refocus here, trailing 4-1. The first 2 scored by St. Thomas, the last 2 scored by the Saints as well. Top seed looking to stretch that run to 3 unanswered. Well, here's a change. St. Thomas goes with Charlotte Totola in the circle as Tallulah Gregg, I believe, moves to the wing. Staying in circle for Gilford is Keenan, who looks skyward and gets a friendly whistle. The Gilford senior with a quick restart. Looks for a one-on-one, fakes right, and then is knocked down as she tried to take a step left. Collides with the defender, Leah Shaheen, the freshman. Contact not inside that 8-meter circle, so we just get a restart here from Keenan.
Exactly. Yeah, Keenan, we've already seen what this team expects of her. They're relying on her on many areas of the field. Same with what we saw, with Tallulah Gregg and St. Thomas, and you thought she might have been on the circle. She was sidelined for that draw. It might be giving her a little bit of a rest. A lot of these midfielders, they are playing most of the game on both ends of the field, so trying to rest your players where you can.
Meanwhile, Watson is going to draw a crowd. Another swift move on that step to the right. 2 defenders in the area. And you see on the shot release there the contact, so a free position shot presumably on the way here for Abigail Watson, the junior. Going to stare down Baker from straight away. Going to charge towards Baker. Shot set aside by Baker. Second save for the senior. Ground ball ensues, and a whistle is going to keep it at this end with Gilford.
Another good stop there from Baker. She is making her presence known in the cage.
3 saves early. May have said 2 a moment ago. It's actually 3. Meanwhile, this centering feed is broken up. Ball's going to roll to the far side. Keenan is there to keep it with the Golden Eagles. And we got an illegal screen there. little bit of a moving pick. And as you said, the officials really on top of the action here so far in this first quarter.
They are. They're calling a tight game, keeping this clean, safe lacrosse.
Julia Bryan, sophomore, escorts the ball over midfield. Another successful clear for St. Thomas. This whistle may be away from the ball here. Clock continuing to move. We're down to 3 minutes first quarter. St. Thomas out in front 4-1. Saints looking for back-to-back titles and also hoping to capture their 13th straight win.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what ref Dave Pelletier saw there. I couldn't tell if he signaled that defender might have stepped in the crease. Either way, not a major foul. Just going to reset.
This one too deep for a shot attempt. Instead, a short pass, which is taken by Harris. Well, we got to look at that replay there, and definitely some contact. So, free position shot, a step down blazer. Kensley Harris playing in her final game, one of 5 seniors for St. Thomas. Heard the whistle, took one step, pulled the trigger, goes high to low to make it 5-1.
Yeah, Harris, she doesn't have to take very many steps off the line. She just releases that one from far out. A nice shot. Good job keeping her arms away from her body. I love to see, even though she's committed to playing field hockey in college, she's stayed with lacrosse. I think it's so important now to maintain being a multi-sport athlete. It's not necessary to specialize, which I think is a common misconception. Coaches love multi-sport athletes.
That's an age-old argument that I don't think we're going to see a settled answer on. But you're right. The more action, the better. As long as you're playing something, I would say, throughout the calendar year, that's a good start anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Keenan, shot there, chest high, right into Baker's stick. Another save for the senior, who's off to a blazing start in net for St. Thomas. On the clear, here comes Gregg. Being hounded from behind, escapes via the near sideline. And now St. Thomas looking to push. They don't have the numbers, so Gregg going to pull it out. And reset here with 100 seconds remaining in this opening quarter. It's been a good one for the top-seeded St. Thomas Saints. Trying to find a little spacing here. Meanwhile, Gilford continuing to talk defensively. Gregg still has it. Back door, catch made. DeTola to the cage, stripped on the release. Keenan's got the ground ball. The senior's going to come the other way, right to left over midfield.
This game has felt a little bit like a track meet. A lot of, the transition game has just been one player legging it up the field. A lot of fourth as a result of goalie saves and caused turnovers. Good defense.
This one ends up behind the net. And a restart on the way for Gilford. It's Coots, over to Davington, who has scored the lone goal for the Golden Eagles. Final 40 seconds, first quarter. Watson to her right, gets inside 2 defenders. A little underhand release, contact, and a free position shot likely coming for Watson.
Yeah, pretty good defense. What I saw from the Saints, Tallulah Gregg there almost comes up with a caused turnover, but instead, what the issue with that check was that she just didn't release quick enough. She almost held that stick down. Now, I think the refs are talking about this one in terms of the clock because there was a foul in the critical scoring area. In the last minute of every quarter, the clock should stop.
Right now, it's frozen with 23.6 seconds remaining.
Expect to see they'll put a bit more time back up here.
Meanwhile, Watson cradling the ball over her right shoulder. We may see a step down here. It looks like she's ready to fire. Yep. Side release, not happening, says Baker. A handful of stops for the St. Thomas goaltender. We get a whistle on the ground ball, and it's given over to St. Thomas. By the way, Kristen, they did add a few seconds. Now the clock is running inside of 20 seconds here in the first quarter. And a restart coming again for St. Thomas deep in their own end. Baker still controlling behind the cage.
Chloe Baker was certainly one of the stars of this first quarter, despite that errant pass there in the clear. Not much time, though, in the first quarter.
That's going to bring us to the end of the frame. Great start for the defending champs. St. Thomas out in front of Gilford 5-1. Golden Eagles look for response when we come back. You are watching the 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS Network.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Start of the second quarter here in Exeter. Nick Anastas, Kristen Cameron with you. Glad you could join us for this 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game. St. Thomas, the defending champs. Only one blemish on the regular season record. That was early in the campaign. They rattled off 10 straight to close out the calendar. 2 more wins coming over Cole-Brown and Bow in the tournament. And now a chance to do it again. Back-to-back years after beating Gilford in last year's state championship. The Golden Eagles right behind them in the standings really all season. They finish at 12-2. They've won 7 in a row and have looked good in this postseason with blowout wins over Laconia and Hopkinton. But so far, so good for St. Thomas. 2 goals for Kensley Harris, 2 more for Tallulah Gregg. Throw in another for Reese Anderson. Add it all up, it's a 5-1 lead through 12 minutes of play.
St. Thomas definitely dominating early on, but some bright spots for Gilford. They've been solid and scrappy in the draw circle. They've had their opportunities, their possessions. I think in this second quarter, looking for them to clean it up offensively and to try to figure out a way to get those maybe closer in shots or better chances to get it past Baker, who was really strong in the first quarter.
A handful of saves unofficially for Baker. Gilford has controlled the draw more often than not. They won 5 of 7 unofficially in that first quarter. But this one goes to St. Thomas, and here come the Saints again, looking to add to their 5-1 lead. How about Tallulah? Spins in a crowd. That one's set aside by Windward, her second save. It stays, though, in play and at this end. 3 players now behind cage for the Saints. As Gregg, the spin move, split dodge, sidearm shot, ends up wide and out of play, but it's backed up by her teammate behind the cage, Harris.
Yeah, Gregg pretty much splitting defenders, beating them at will. A couple shots a little bit off target, but she's showing what she's capable of as a dodger.
Takeaway here. Out of a crowd comes Davignon. She's going to swim upstream herself in the attempt. On the clear attempt, the senior does cross midfield. So Gilford now on the attack for the first time in this second quarter. Nowhere to go there for Coots. And an illegal check here coming against the St. Thomas defense.
It's the kind of start that you want. I mean, Gilford didn't win the draw control, but they come up with a defensive stop. They clear the ball, and then you draw that contact inside the 8 meters, set yourself up for a free position. You know, if you're having a hard time dodging or moving the ball, get aggressive, take the contact, and walk it in right here. Let's see what Coots can do.
Seems like that's been the St. Thomas strategy through the first Well, now nearly 14 minutes. Coots hit on the release. Ball bounces out, and with 4 players in the area, it's rewarded to St. Thomas. Good positioning by Isabel Taylor, the sophomore, but her pass too long. It ends up out of bounds, turned over, back over to Gilford. A good effort there on the ride by the Golden Eagles, forcing the turnover.
The ride has been a big part of this playoff series across all divisions. Which teams can be more aggressive and create those extra opportunities for their team.
Meanwhile, Addison Harris given the green light after drawing contact from 2 players. Pass taken in the middle. Shot there, goes off the post, but a whistle upon the release. Boy, Keenan inches away from her first goal there, but she'll be rewarded here with a free position shot. So Keenan against Baker. Star against Star. Step down. Bouncer goes 5-hole. Perfectly placed by Keenan, the Merrimack College commit. It's got the Golden Eagle fans fired up. It's 5-2.
It wasn't an if, but when Olivia Keenan was going to get on the board. She is Gilford's star player, the kind of do-it-all type athlete. And, perfectly executing that shot right there, finding 5-hole. Again, the free positions have really dominated many of these offenses that I've been seeing across, high school, across. So the refs are doing their job. They're calling a tight game, but with that comes a lot of fouls and kind of lack of discipline defensively that's creating many more 8 meters. And I think I've seen in many seasons past.
You think that's more strategy related or how the officials tend to blow the whistles?
It's both, but I would say more so strategy related, because if you are willing to take that contact, just kind of go through traffic in a controlled way where you're not drawing the charge, you're going to get the call. It's very strategic.
Seems like that's been St. Thomas's MO through this first half. Meanwhile, a shot here well wide, but backed up by the Golden Eagles. So Gilford will keep it here. Coach Watson at the end of the bench trying to direct traffic. She's got 2 girls behind cage. Pass comes from behind the net. Ends up on the ground, taken away by Gregg. Gregg going to spin away from Keenan. Keenan continuing to ride her. Now Gregg's got the inside track as the second defender comes over at midfield. She's hacked at from behind by Gilford's Amelia Burlock.
St. Thomas very effective there in their man-to-man defense, denying those passes, not letting cutters be a factor.
And while the ball ended up down near the cage, the officials are going to back the action up and allow St. Thomas's Charlotte DeTola to restart here from up top. Going to dance a little bit. Backdoor pass is knocked down, scooped up by Anderson, and Anderson fires a shot right into Windward's stick. Goaltender with a quick outlet. Third save for the senior. Now it's Gilford the other way in transition. Numbers for the Golden Eagles to 3-on-2. Trying to get back are the St. Thomas defenders. They do. The pass taken by Keenan in a crowd. Looks for some dry land near side. He's going to backpedal to the near wing. Fires a backdoor pass again to Davignon. And Davignon is hit on the catch. The senior scored one of the 2 Gilford goals. Set for another free position shot. We see the Golden Eagle faithful have made the drive down from the lake. Shot and score. Davignon with a bouncer. Looked like was able to beat Baker strong side to make this 5-3. Now back-to-back goals for Gilford.
The Golden Eagles finding some success with those bounce shots off the 8-meter. Another well-placed shot. Bouncers are seeming to work. Now, if you're the Golden Eagles, you better know that a goalie like Baker is going to pick up on this, right? She's ready. If she's just let 2 in low, she's going to eat that next one up. And so making sure to change where they're shooting is going to be key for that next chance.
So a 5-1 lead for St. Thomas has been cut down to 5-3 with 5 minutes gone by in this second quarter. The momentum seemingly with Gilford. This one up in the air. Take a bounce far side. Davignon trying to fight off Holden. Holden guilty of a little bit of a push. Davignon is again pushed on the restart. Senior trying to work out of her own end with a short pass over the midfield line, and here comes Gilford again. Watson up ahead, Keenan down the middle, shot and score. Run and gun. Gilford scores in traffic. One of their fans takes a tumble here in the crowd, waving the Gilford flag. He's okay, but nonetheless, the enthusiasm is contagious as the players and fans celebrate. That leads to a St. Thomas timeout. 3 unanswered by the Golden Eagles. Gilford has made it a 1-goal game as we approach the midway point, second quarter.
There is high energy inside Bill Ball Stadium right now. I mean, these fans are going all out. But what a goal to celebrate. Excellent transition offense off of that draw control win. And, I mean, Keenan was moving at top speed there. She got the ball, and there was no stopping her. I think it just took that first goal for her to start heating up a bit. Yeah,
we see inside the Gilford huddle there. A lot of communication between the players. Keenan now 2 goals, both coming in this second quarter. The first via a free position shot, the second in transition. So, it's an early 4-goal lead for St. Thomas that has been cut down to 1, and this seemingly, Kristen, is more like the competitive game that we were expecting.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, there was that timeout earlier in the game, and I said this was a critical time to reset, you know, get those nerves out. We're done. What's happened in the first quarter, put it behind you. I think it was even midway through the first quarter. We have seen a different Gilford team since then. So, whatever Coach Watson said in that huddle, it resonated, and they are back and they are firing.
Let's see now how St. Thomas responds after Coach Carroll uses her first timeout here to reorganize. Her club's lead is down to 1. Meanwhile, Gilford has been consistently good in the draw circle. Unofficially with a 7-3 advantage. Keenan a big reason why. A rematch on the way with Tallulah Gregg. 2 future NCAA athletes. All eyes on them here at Bill Ball Stadium. The ball up into the night sky. Takes a bounce. Davignon with it inside track, and she's got it for Gilford. Wing play's been impressive for the Golden Eagles.
It certainly has, and that has been their advantage in this comeback. It has fueled their run, winning those draws.
Meanwhile, Watson being chased here, trying to bully her way to the cage, finally forced to backtrack. Pretty good defense there. The defender for St. Thomas is Maya Scanlon, the junior. Didn't give an inch. Meanwhile, we're past the midway point, second quarter. First quarter belonged to St. Thomas. The second so far has belonged to Gilford. So we see Watson's bouncer go wide, but it's backed up again by her teammates. And a restart coming from behind the cage.
Freshman for St. Thomas, Lena Shaheen, has been tasked with defending Olivia Keenan. She has been stuck to her like glue. I noticed her stop Keenan in transition earlier. That is a matchup that they practice for, prepared for, and that's a big deal to be tasked with that matchup as a freshman.
And right on target, or right on schedule, it's Shaheen. The freshman picks up the ground ball and secures possession for St. Thomas. Looks like she was trying to face guard there away from the ball.
Yeah, we'll see if they stick with that. If not, maybe if it doesn't end up being a true face guard, they're at least trying to limit her touches on the ball. Take her out of the equation as much as possible.
And as you mentioned, not an easy task against one of the division's best players. Meanwhile, Datola going to swim upstream across midfield, now trying to spark a break for the Saints. St. Thomas looking for their first goal of the quarter. We're down to 4.5 to go until halftime. St. Thomas scored the first 2 goals and led 5-1 after 1. Since then, 3 unanswered by Gilford.
See Datola and Greg working together there in that little two-man action up top. Little setting a pick. Those two teammates on the Tomahawks know how to play together.
There's a backdoor cut. Shot and score for Holden. Elizabeth Holden found the sweet spot out in front of the cage. Pass on time and on target. And Holden going to light the lamp for the first time to make it 6-4 St. Thomas.
That was good offense for the Saints. It was one of the better possessions that they had in terms of moving.
Yeah.
We've seen them move off ball, but they were moving with a purpose that time, setting picks, getting through, finding those openings. That's the type of offense that you're going to find success, right? You have to be working even harder off ball than you are with the ball.
You can see minimal celebration there from St. Thomas. They knew they needed a response. They get it. That stops the Gilford run at 3 unanswered. Going to look to build on the momentum with a face-off win as Greg picks it up one-handed off the knee-high bounce. Trots along the near wing. Steps on the gas, gets inside one defender and draws some contact. Free position shot coming from the near wing for Tallulah Gregg. A chance for the junior to score a hat trick here in the first half. 2 goals coming in that first quarter. On the attack, overhead shot didn't come out clean. Bounces out of play, but will stay at this end with St. Thomas.
Heard some pipe action there. One thing that stood out to me was how big Windward was in cage. She was playing a high crease, stepping out, making her presence known. When you fill the cage like that, as an attacker, you just see less space, and that worked.
Meanwhile, an errant pass is going to lead to a Gilford breakout the other way. Addison Harris across midfield. Harris down the middle, and she draws contact from behind. Scanlon tried to slap it away, but got a piece of the wrist. Inside of 3 minutes now until halftime. Another free position shot on the way for Gilford. Senior Addison Harris. Chance to cut the St. Thomas lead in half. Fires on Baker and scores low. That one came in down by the ankle and just avoided the swooping movement of Baker's stick. We've got a 6-5 game with now 2:43 to go before the break. That was actually a bouncer.
Oh, yeah, and that was the third bouncer that I think we've seen go in and be effective. Now, I just said, I don't know if you want to do that again if you're Gilford. Like, Baker's going to start to catch on, but that worked for a third time, and we've got a game on our hands.
How difficult is the placement portion of those bouncing shots?
Yeah, I mean, I think a bouncer is honestly a little risky. You don't know where it's going to go, especially on, how well you know the turf. It could be kind of die when it hits the turf, or in this case, I think we're seeing a little bit of height.
Despite kind of the soggy nature of the turf here in Exeter.
Yeah, it's working so far. I think it's a little bit unpredictable, but
meanwhile, Keenan able to secure that one out of the air for Gilford. The senior trying to spark the break. Davidson on the run, shot. Stopped by Baker, but a whistle first. We get another look at the replay. Davidson full speed ahead. Release there, plenty of contact. Another save for Baker, and a free position shot is cashed in. It's Leanne Davidson. That's her third goal of this first half for Gilford. And we are back to square one, tied at 6.
And what do you know? She bounces it in off the free position. That is they have found what is working. Yep, she goes low past Baker. I mean, even before she had that free position opportunity, she was wide open in the middle, and she looked like, she was about to release that ball with some passion, wide open, looking super athletic in that play.
Tale of 2 quarters. 5-1 St. Thomas after 1 so far in this second quarter. 5-1 Gilford. Added up at 6-6 with 2:14 to go. Reminder coming up at halftime. Stats, highlights, analysis, full recap of the first half, and we'll revisit the Division I state championship between Portsmouth and Souhegan that was played on this field earlier tonight. All that coming up at halftime. Violation on the draw. They give it to the Saints. Now St. Thomas with a chance to retake the lead here in the final 2 minutes before the break.
Yeah, as expected, getting some touches here. A lot of, these players that you have on offense right now for St. Thomas, they just played a lot of defense, so I expect that they're a little bit tired here.
Here's a bouncer. Shot and score. It's Isabel Taylor. Sophomore with kind of a curl around move to get her out in front of the cage, and then the bouncer beats Windward to put the Saints back in front 7-6.
Yeah, exactly. She starts behind the cage, rolls the crease. Even with a couple defenders in front of her, she just keeps going again, protects her stick, and then she shoots that bouncer back where she came from, almost across her body. And Nick, you were asking about kind of the predictability of how it's going to bounce. That one just bounced right up under the crossbar. So seeing a few different things here, but
that draws a smile from the sophomore, her first goal tonight. So back and forth we go. 7-6 St. Thomas. High-scoring first half here in Exeter. As a little bit of a fog has started to roll in here at Bill Ball Stadium. We head towards sundown, now past the 8 o'clock hour locally. Second straight face-off win for St. Thomas. Gregg is on the move, going to trot to a stop here on the near side wing. Final 90 seconds first half. A two-player game, pick and roll, pass, drop there by DeTola. And now a pig pile ensues on the far wing. DeTola comes out victorious, and on her way to the ground, releases a shot. Ends up wide, but a whistle, and maybe a free position shot opportunity coming for St. Thomas, or not.
yeah, it looks like the ref is going to reset DeTola on the 8. I think she signaled some kind of contact in toward the body.
So DeTola from straight away here, twirling the stick, eyeing Windward, coming full circle, coming down, denied by Windward. That's her fourth save of this first half. Ground ball scooped up by Keenan for Gilford behind the cage. Gives it back to Windward, and now a rainbow outlet pass. Takes a bounce along the far sideline. Nice play. Coots over to Davidman. Davidman on the run. 25 seconds to go first half. Gilford looking to tie the game. Davidman's been the star. Gives it up. Keenan shot in traffic, ends up high. It's out of play. Clock ticking down to 15 seconds. Gilford will keep it. Gonna have to hurry. Clock now stopped with 11. Restart inside of 10. Down to 7 seconds. Little pump fake. Nowhere to go. Over the top, Keenan bouncers, stopped there by Baker, and that is going to bring us to halftime. Chloe Baker with 7 saves for St. Thomas. Good enough for the Saints to take a 1-goal lead with them into the locker room at halftime. 7-6, St. Thomas out in front of Gilford. An exciting, high-flying first half here in Exeter, Kristen.
That was even more fun than I was hoping for. I mean, the back and forth, the competition that we've seen between these two teams. I mean, goalie play has exceeded expectations. It's been a battle in the draw circle and some really impressive offensive moves from the stars that we teed up in the pregame. This game has not disappointed.
All right, so at halftime, it's a 1-goal game. We'll come back after a quick break, recap the first half, stats, highlights, and analysis, plus a look back at the Portsmouth and Souhegan Division I Championship Showdown as well. You are watching the 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game. Right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS Network.
broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. So become another lacrosse program like Bedford, Goffstown, or Memorial that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Start of the second half here in Exeter. St. Thomas with a one-goal lead over Gilford in this 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game. Nick Anastas, Kristen Cameron with you. A tale of two quarters through the first half. St. Thomas looked good early. Jumped out to a 5-1 lead, 2 goals apiece for Tallulah Gregg and Kensley Harris. However, Gilford was seemingly just getting warmed up. They come back, thanks in part to a hat trick from Leanne Davignon and 2 goals from senior Olivia Keenan. Comeback effort tied the game at 6. However, Isabel Taylor for St. Thomas had the last laugh with inside of 2 minutes to go before the break, scoring to put St. Thomas back out in front. Both goaltenders have been impressive so far. Lily Winward with 4 stops unofficially for Gilford, while her counterpart for St. Thomas, Chloe Baker, came up with 7. Third quarter underway. Gilford wins another face-off. Had the advantage unofficially in that area. Pass taken near the cage. Collision. Ball comes out. A delayed whistle. Going to set up a free position shot from the near wing.
Feels a little different here in this second half. A little darker, a little foggier, a little colder.
Yeah. Temperature dipping just inside of 60 degrees now, but it feels much chillier. Shot set aside by Baker. Save number 8 as she denies Callia Blackie on a shot up close. Blackie keeps it in bounds. Here comes Davidkin down the gut. Shot and score. Beats her strong side for goal number 4.
Really good look inside there. And a good job by Leanne Davignon catching and finishing on the move. That is what's really hard to stop a cutter who doesn't stop their feet. So a good look inside. Gilford was looking for some of those passes earlier in the game, and they weren't connecting on them. Those kind of, errant passes inside, missed connections, but they're hitting their stride.
Seems like the spacing has improved a bit for Gilford as well.
Spacing, timing, overall ball handling. Just, I think they really put the first quarter behind them and have been a different team since.
Davignon has stood out now, 4 goals to lead all scorers here. With less than a minute gone by in this second half, we're back to square one. Another win for Keenan. Now the Golden Eagles seeking their first lead of the game. Keenan, a quick restart. 2-man game up top. Going to roll to her right, being harassed by the St. Thomas defender, Shaheen. Freshman has held her ground pretty well. Now, what's this, a charge?
Charge, yeah, they call that a charge. She wasn't necessarily like making contact with the defenders, but it's all about when you turn your back. So if you turn your back into the defenders and try to take any backward steps, and they have already established their defensive position, that's going to send the ball the other way.
Meanwhile, Reese Anderson, pretty good effort on the clear, gets it done for St. Thomas. She's got a goal to her credit tonight. The senior still has it behind the net. Nearly 2 minutes in, third quarter. Pass, shot, score. It's Charlotte Totola. The junior, committed to the University of Vermont, takes advantage of some open space there. The pass on time and on target. And the shot and score puts St. Thomas back in front 8-7.
Now I noticed that Totola, and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she had her hamstring or her quad wrapped in that first half. I noticed that in the second half doesn't seem to be slowing her down, or at least it didn't on that offensive possession. She was a player they definitely couldn't afford to lose, and she's going to give it her all and try to play through whatever injury she is dealing with.
Totola's first goal comes at a good time for St. Thomas, 8-7. Saints looking for back-to-back state championships. They did it over Gilford last year in this spot by a score of 13-8. They also topped the Golden Eagles during the regular season, 11-9. That meeting was back on May the 14th. Meanwhile, Gilford out of their own end after another face-off win, looking to push tempo here. As Harris comes down the middle. Bouncer, though, is swallowed up by the defense, and the table's turned. Gregg coming the other way now for St. Thomas. Good defensive effort by the junior. Being ridden hard here by Coots, draws a whistle. And now the Saints attack, looking to set up here with 2.5 gone by in this third quarter.
These midfielders are certainly logging some miles this point into this game. We've seen, the two-way midfielders who are, especially with turnover like that, quick turnover, having to get up and back the field.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of substitutions.
No, we haven't. We've seen Gregg take a couple breathers, I think, on the St. Thomas sideline, but that's it.
Really been it, yeah. Triple team, ball out, whistle comes.
To be a charge.
Yep, back turn there.
Yeah, you know it now. You're going to be calling that back turn.
Spot on by the officials, and a quick restart the other way for Gilford. Good clear. This is Keenan. The Merrimack College commit. Bodied up by Shaheen, and then the pass is intercepted. Reese Anderson plucks it out of the sky, and then a long outlet pass is going to free up Lucy Broom. Sophomore's got plenty of room here. It's like a 4-on-4 developing. Broom, little short pass to the middle. That one is tipped. It's on the ground. Out of the cage comes Woodward. And a whistle as the goaltender drew some contact.
And it's going back the other way. I mean, this has been a lot of running for these players. I mean, they've got to be feeling it at this point.
A lot of end-to-end action through 2.5 quarters. 4 minutes in, third quarter. 8-7 St. Thomas. Gilford looking to even the score. Harris, pretty good dodge at midfield. Gets the clear. Comes down the middle. Still has some space. Backdoor has a player. Shot and score, and we are tied. It's Cameron Coots. Pretty pass. And again, a transition goal for Gilford. Ties the game at 8.
Yeah, the Harris to Coots connection was what they needed. I mean, now, has Gilford been, they haven't been in the lead yet, right? They've been playing from behind. They've tied it up. They're the team with momentum right now, if you ask me. They are winning draw controls. They're causing turnovers. They're doing the right things. And as we mentioned on their last goal, they are now finding those offensive connections. They're seeing each other. They're spaced well. They're shooting well. And they've figured out how to put the ball past Baker, which they were struggling to do earlier in the game.
Yeah. They've outscored St. Thomas 2-1 in this third quarter to tie the game at 8. They've more than doubled the production at the draw circle, unofficially, of course, but 13-6 is the latest count. Fog settling in here in Exeter. Lights are on and becoming more and more necessary. Temperature dropping a little bit here. A little bit of a gritty scenario weather-wise in this state championship game. Both these teams seeking to join the winner's circle. Portsmouth earlier tonight captured their second straight Division I championship as the Clippers finished undefeated with a 12-7 victory over Sauhegan.
Keenan has been sent off with a yellow card for a foul on Greg. So this sidelines her for 2 minutes. It's an unreleasable penalty. So now Greg has a decision here. She can either take this free position shot or pull it out and give her team the chance to be a player up for a possession.
First penalty either way. 2-minute locked, coming nearly 5 minutes in third quarter. Greg, 2 goals in that first quarter, seeking a hat trick, but more importantly, hoping to put St. Thomas back in front. Greg down the middle, shot and score. That's a pretty one. The release, kind of a swooping up motion, release near the hip, low to high, top shelf. 3 seconds into the penalty, pretty good way to start the EMO. It's 9-8 St. Thomas.
Oh yeah, that was a cool looking shot. I think what's tricky about that one for Windward to save is that she dips her hands first, almost as if she's shooting low. And that takes, a high level of skill to be able to do, but she changes the plane of her shot. She goes low to high, dips her hands, finds, a good opportunity to take that underhanded shot and places the ball right under the crossbar. Beautiful execution. Really
difficult release, but made it look easy. The senior, Tallulah Gregg, the junior, already a Vanderbilt commit. Showing you why they're a hat trick here in the state championship game. Hoping to capture Gilford's first ever girls lacrosse state championship. They were close, as we mentioned last year, runners up, falling by a final score of 13-8 to St. Thomas. Here in the rematch, she has brought her A game. This one rolls far side. St. Thomas's Reese Anderson has the inside track and does secure the win for the Saints.
That's a big draw control for the Saints because they are still a player up. Keenan is still on the sideline with that yellow card, and so we'll see what kind of set they've been practicing for this EMO.
Greg calling for it here. Going to dance up top, trying to get inside Davidson, the defender. Shot, not clean, but no whistle. It is backed up by St. Thomas and will stay at this end. The EMO continues, 50 seconds in. Anderson trying to change directions, now pulls it out. Backdoor feed, Holden is there, but her shot is jammed up and won't get through. Ball bouncing to the far side and behind the cage. It's ruled out of bounds. Gilford possession. Really good hustle both ways.
It's a big stop for the Golden Eagles. I think not what I was expecting to see from the Saints. I think when you are a player up, it's all about teamwork, moving the ball, finding the open player, less about that 1v1 dodging, which is what we just saw be unsuccessful in that situation.
Now Gilford shorthanded. They do get the clear. EMO for St. Thomas ticking away here, down to 25 seconds and counting. A little bit of keep away. Another whistle. Emma Burlock with the restart.
Yeah, so St. Thomas, they've got this extra player now. They're running that backer defense. We've seen this backer zone. This is, just kind of a default here because they have an extra player who can be that second layer of defense or choose to double the ball. But really, they're just hoping to kill this penalty. Keenan's running back on now. They're even strength.
Meanwhile, Keenan calling for the ball, but Davidson swarmed along the end line. And a little too much contact there by the defender, Greg. So Davidson going to restart herself with a little bit of room here. Greg behind her. Davidson, if you're just joining us, has carried the offense tonight. 4 of the 8 goals for Gilford. As that shot ends up wide, but will stay at this end. Two players behind the net. That's Blackie. Now Keenan on the cut, trying to fan that one. One-time effort. Bouncer wide, but a whistle again.
Gilford has found success with those cutters, which is the look that they're defaulting to. And even though that wasn't a clean connection to Keenan inside, she drew the contact. kind of a check toward her body as she was going for the ball.
And now a chance for the hat trick for the senior, set aside by Baker. Brilliant stop on the doorstep. Save number 9 for Chloe Baker. Ground ball, though, keeps it at this end with the Golden Eagles as Watson takes over. Goal line extended near side. Now Watson trying to put the move on the defender, Scanlon. Drop step, nowhere to go. Scanlon right there on her hip. Pass intercepted in the middle. Gregg steps in front, takes it away, and she's off to the races. Inside of 4 minutes to go, third quarter. St. Thomas with possession and a 1-goal lead on the board, 9-8. Meanwhile, Gregg drew some contact there along the sideline and is given a free pass here. Anderson set to trigger the offense up top.
That was a really impressive defensive sequence for the Saints. I mean, they had a lot of stops there.
Meanwhile, Gregg trying to draw the attention of the officials and does so. Is tripped up in front of the cage. Free position shot coming for Tallulah Gregg. Hat trick so far. 2 goals in the first quarter, 1 more so far in the third. We're inside of 3 minutes to go. Trying to double the lead for St. Thomas. Shot, score. Goal number 4 for Gregg. And it's 10-8.
That was a great hash mark for her to be set up on. She had time and room to get the type of shot off that she wanted. She's another one of those players. What you see is kind of some of these excellent players, what sets them apart is their ability to generate power with their shot. She doesn't need much room, much time to get that torque. She gets her arms up and away from her body. It's a really well-executed shot.
Didn't have much room to get it off either.
No.
Had Liana Keenan to her left and Olivia Keenan to her right. But neither Gilford defender could prevent the shot there. So it's 10-8. St. Thomas has played with the lead throughout. In fact, the Saints have not trailed. Their largest lead came at the end of the first quarter when they led by a score of 5-1. Gilford, a strong second quarter, narrowed the gap to 7-6 at halftime. And it's been back and forth so far in this third quarter. St. Thomas now back-to-back goals, both via the free position shot and both scored by Tallulah Gregg. Face-off win for Gilford. They've had the advantage in the circle tonight. Olivia Keenan is double-teamed and hit on the pass. And the whistle will trigger the restart from 15 meters out.
And, there was a whistle there and reset that, but Keenan saw an open player, and her and Watson have been working well together. Watson kind of sneaking backdoor, finding that opening. The Saints have been a little, they've been letting that go with those cutters, and that's going to catch up to them.
See if Watson can cash in here. Free position shot coming from the near wing. Shot set aside by Baker. Save number 10, but the rebound ends up in the cage. Davignon, right place, right time, right on the doorstep. 1-goal game again at 10-9 inside of 2 minutes to go, third quarter.
That was an excellent heads-up play. Everyone is ready on the free position, ready on the rebound. Nick, you see who that was that picked up that ground ball?
It was the same player who recorded the assist. That's Addison Normandin, senior attack. As we see, kept it in bounds and then found the open player.
Normandin making it count. I mean, what a good heads-up play. And then Davignon in the right place at the right time and able to, catch and be composed in front of the cage. Baker didn't stand a chance with a wide-open player in front.
How about Davignon? Now with 5 goals to lead all scorers. Outstanding performance. Meanwhile, this one knocked out of the night sky and scooped up by St. Thomas. Anderson on the run. A little bit of room here near side, but going to slow down anyway as she approaches. I'm going to take a trot behind the net. Final 100 seconds here of the third quarter. Hard to tell who's got the advantage. I guess St. Thomas, as they lead by a goal and a chance to make it a 2-goal game here. Back door. Holden, wraparound shot and score. Defender right in her face, had to kind of sneak it by her to the right and did so. Beating the goaltender Woodward as well. And a little bit of a cushion goal there for the Saints as they lead by 2, 11-9.
Yeah, Holden does a nice job there with that shot. You're absolutely right. She kind of is on that far side of the crease. She drops her stick low and is able to sneak it around the side of Windward.
Very tough goal. Number 2 for Holden tonight, who has played well. Part of the strong junior class for St. Thomas. The Saints, only 5 seniors, 9 on the other side for Gilford. By the way, 11-9, our score right now with $1:21 to go. That was the final score in the regular season meeting between these two teams back on May the 14th. That game won by St. Thomas. This one up in the air again. Players for both teams jumping, and ultimately it's scooped up off the turf by Olivia Keenan. It's the 15th win for Gilford at the Circle. Keenan to her left. Sean on the move, swallowed up by Baker. She's been fun to watch. 11 saves now unofficially for the senior, playing in her final game for St. Thomas. The outlet taken by Anderson. She's provided some help in the clear game, does so here as well after surviving midfield. Now trying to shake off 2 defenders as the St. Thomas attack looks to kick into high gear here over the final 30 seconds of this third quarter. A chance to push the lead back to 3. They led by as many as 4 late in that first quarter.
Doesn't look like St. Thomas is trying to hold for one. I think they just want to get to goal when the opportunity is there.
Pass out in front. This one batted away, out of play behind the net. Final 10 seconds here. The officials award Gilford possession. And it looks like the Golden Eagles are going to run out of time. St. Thomas, they led by 1 at halftime. They take a 2-goal lead with them into the fourth quarter. Will it be enough? Saints hope to capture another trophy for the second straight year. Gilford seeking their first state championship in school history. Something has to give. We find out what next. Fourth quarter on the other side. You are watching the 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're broadcasting in conjunction with the NFHS Network.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Well, buckle up as we head to the fourth quarter here in Exeter. We've got a good one brewing in this 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game. A 2-goal game with 12 minutes to go. St. Thomas out in front of Gilford 11-9 in the rematch from last year's championship, which was won by the Saints. Nick had asked this Kristen Cameron. Standout players for both teams really through 3 quarters as we take a look at some of the numbers, all unofficial, of course, but Chloe Baker has really been outstanding in net for St. Thomas with 11 saves. Gilford has gotten a boost on offense from Leanne Davignon, who has scored 5 goals.
Yeah, Davignon has been a game changer for the Golden Eagles. She has been relentless finding the back of the cage. I think, fueled by a lot of great transition play and scrappiness on the draw circle from Olivia Keenan. And then, not to forget, Abigail Watson has also been impressive, and a strong role player for them on offense.
St. Thomas found offense from Tallulah Gregg, the junior committed to Vanderbilt, 4 goals, a team high for St. Thomas. Overall, Gilford has had the advantage in the circle, almost doubling up the production there. I don't know if these numbers are going to add up correctly, but I've got 15-8, which is correct.
Pretty close,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, good stuff, Nick.
Is that West High math coming into play? 12 minutes remaining in regulation. Gilford seeking their first title in school history. St. Thomas hoping to capture their second in as many seasons. Looking to do it back-to-back over the Golden Eagles in the finale. This one ends up out of bounds. Good hustle both ways. We see St. Thomas's Julia Bryan go full speed there. To no avail as Olivia Keenan triggers the restart for Gilford, and the Golden Eagles are going to head left to right in this fourth quarter.
They haven't yet taken a lead, and now would be a good time to do so, fueled by that goal.
They're going to cut the lead down to 1. Saw the assist a moment ago from Addison Normandin. This time we see the goal as she catches it right on the doorstep, knew what to do with it. An immediate trigger pull. We've got a 1-goal game again at 11-10.
Yeah, Normandin caught that ball on the inside, and she was very quick to turn and shoot. Catching it with her back slightly to the cage, almost needing to turn her body, and she does so forcefully and finds the back of the net.
Just wide open.
Yeah, she really is. Catch, turns, finishes. That is a way to start the fourth quarter.
Just 37 seconds in.
The Golden Eagles seem to do well coming off any break. A timeout, a break between quarters. They're a team that they reset and they refocus.
And I guess that one not officially a transition goal, but seemingly a defensive breakdown there from St. Thomas.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you're exactly right, and it was close enough to transition where you got to kind of figure that out and dial in earlier. Expect anything. Expect them to go to the cage.
Now a chance to tie. Pass, though, is batted down up top. Scoop back up without a challenge by Watson, who's given a little bit of breathing room here. We'll cycle it left side, and here comes Coots. 1 goal to her credit tonight. Coots now being ridden very hard by DeTola. Pass there. 1 bouncer gets away from Blackie behind the cage, and it's turned over. Tough one to locate there for the senior. And now on the clear attempt at full speed comes St. Thomas. Saints had numbers. Ava Leiter almost lost it. Now Leiter forced to backtrack. Hooks up with Bryan. Finally given a free pass here in the middle. Forks it over to Greg. And Greg is going to slow this one down to a walk. 2 minutes in, fourth quarter. St. Thomas clinging to a 1-goal lead. Greg trying to maneuver out in front. Draws 2 defenders. Turns on the gas. Gets inside with an S dodge and then shoots a little high there. Not quite a clean release. It will stay with St. Thomas.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for her to do that herself, especially when she's drawing so much defensive attention, sending 2 of their best defenders to her. You know, if you want to give Greg an opportunity to dodge, we need some more off-ball movement, giving her space, cutting through and clearing a lane.
Now Greg picked up off the switch. Davington near side. Bryan to her left. Going to cycle behind the cage. Looks for a cutter out in front, but it's knocked away. Picked up and then scored. Count it for Charlotte DeTola. That's her second goal, both coming after halftime. And it's a key strike here with less than 3 minutes gone by as it doubles the Saints' advantage to 12-10.
Yeah, DeTola stayed ready. I mean, she scrappy there getting that ball off the ground, even though she didn't catch that initial pass intended for her. She's able to scoop that ball off the ground, turn, and almost keeping her stick above everyone's shoulder level, and puts that one away.
So DeTola, another future NCAA athlete committed to the University of Vermont. 2 goals tonight, contributing to a balanced effort here for St. Thomas. which has been led by Tallulah Gregg's 4 goals. And speaking of Gregg, here she comes. Drawing attention, trying to muscle her way to the cage. Shot ends up high, but the official going to blow the whistle.
Yeah, official with that flag up. Looks like she's going to set Gregg on the second hash. Oh, going to move her over. Actually, yeah, second hash there. Great spot for her to run this one in.
Down the middle, shot and score. Number 5 for Gregg, and now back-to-back goals for St. Thomas here in the fourth quarter. 13-10. It's their largest lead since halftime. And it comes with 3:20 gone by in this fourth quarter. And Gilford has seen enough. Timeout. Golden Eagles. Coach Watson can sense which way this one is going. She had a timely timeout in that first half, which seemed to, at the time, switch the momentum. Hoping the same result comes here with, again, 3:20 gone by in the frame.
I agree with this timeout. You need that. I mean, you can fight your way back from being down 3 goals maybe earlier in the game, but as we approach and the clock ticks down, we approach the end of the game, it is harder and harder to regain. Now, they even haven't taken a lead, but to fight your way back, they've got to stop this run. And especially St. Thomas has figured something out on the draw control. So that's what they need to, figure out, okay, what do we do to get back to that success that we had earlier in the game?
Nick and asked this, Kristen Cameron with you. It's been a fun atmosphere tonight. 2 championship affairs here in Exeter. Portsmouth earlier today captured another Division I state championship. They beat Souhegan by a score of 12-7 to finish the season undefeated. St. Thomas looking to go back-to-back in their own right here in D3. They beat Gilford in last year's final, hoping to do so again after a 14-1 regular season campaign. Gilford looking for revenge and also looking for their first state championship in school history. St. Thomas jumped out to an early 5-1 lead. That was our score after the first quarter. Gilford battled back in that second quarter, and we had a 1-goal game at halftime favoring the Saints 7-6. Third quarter, more back and forth as the Saints took an 11-9 lead into this fourth quarter, and now back-to-back goals from Detola and Gregg have pushed that advantage up to 13-10. So a crucial juncture for Gilford as the Golden Eagles seek a response here, trailing by 3 for the first time since that first quarter. There's a whistle on the draw, and a violation against St. Thomas is going to give this to the Golden Eagles. Gilford looking to waste little time as they trigger a quick restart. Keenan up top. Step to her right. Backdoor feed. Shot and score. It is Watson. Not sure if that was drawn up or not. It looked like it. A gorgeous play there on the backdoor cut, and it's 13-11.
That was pretty Lacrosse. One thing that Keenan did well there to set that up was she was a threat. She was a dodging threat. She looked like she was going to go hard to cage. She had a slide hedging toward her, which allowed Watson to backdoor and just be wide open in the middle. That is exactly how you work together and play to each other's strengths. Just
17 seconds out of the timeout. And hard to believe, but that's Abigail Watson's first goal tonight. She's had a handful of assists, maybe not a handful, but several unofficially, and this time is on the receiving end of a nice pass. Puts it home. Got a 2-goal game again here, 13-11. Less than 4 minutes in fourth quarter. Rematch in the circle. Keenan for Gilford and Gregg for St. Thomas. And this one belongs to Detola, who is surrounded by blue jerseys on the wing, but gets it done for St. Thomas.
Huge draw control win when, Gilford just got that one. They got that goal. They could have been feeling hot. Good opportunity for the Saints to settle into some offense.
Now I pose the question, How aggressive do we expect the Saints to be here? Well, there's the answer.
Very.
Gregg goes right to the cage. That's the only way she knows how to play, apparently. Tallulah Gregg. Been fun to watch in this one, as that is now goal number 6 for the junior.
6 goals, and, they've all looked a little different. She scored a couple off the free position, but that one, she just does a nice job tucking underneath her defender, getting good control of her stick, face dodges to the inside, and just finishes it. I think the power that she generates from her shots makes her so hard to stop.
You mentioned the different variety of scores for Gregg. 2 in that first quarter, 2 more in the third, both via the free position shot, and so far 2 more here in this fourth quarter for St. Thomas. Gregg back in the circle, had the inside track there, does draw contact and secures the win for the Saints. Now on the move is Brian, the sophomore. Scoops it back to Gregg, who takes in the overhead pass. Slows to a walk here as we approach 5 minutes gone by, fourth quarter. Second half moving very quickly. Gregg shot wide. Takes a tumble after that submarine release. This one, meanwhile, was backed up apparently by Gilford.
Yeah, they didn't have the backup, which is really, really key.
And unusual. They've done a good job in that area for the most part. Meanwhile, suffering a bit of a head hit there was Addison Harris, was looking for the official to blow the whistle. Referee didn't react right away, and now Harris seemingly shaken up. Referees will check in, and now Harris going to jog to the sideline.
Yep, sending Harris off. The ref did not see the contact, though. It was hard to see, from here whether a stick or what made contact with her.
I think it was on the split dodge.
Yeah, either way, Gilford's going to retain possession. They're going to sub someone in for Harris, make sure that she's okay. She'll reset on the sideline. Josie
Arighty coming on. Sophomore, getting, I believe, her first action in this fourth quarter. You get a look at that replay. So on the restart, Gilford trying to swim upstream via that far sideline against this pesky ride for St. Thomas as we approach the midway point of this fourth quarter. Still a 3-goal lead on the board for the Saints, 14-11.
Yeah, you mentioned Josie Arrighi coming off the bench. It is so important to stay ready. You never know when your opportunity might come.
Here comes Watson. Knocked down. And she collides there with DeTola. That gets a rise out of the Golden Eagle fan base. Watson get a restart here from about 15 meters out. Too far for a shot. Instead, the pass is taken, but on the catch, we get another whistle. Coots now going to line herself up pretty much straight away here, and this one more like 12 meters out. And a good play. Stripped. Great defensive effort by DeTola. It produces a turnover as Bryan comes sprinting the other way. Bryan across midfield, hoping to trigger a break. But her team has a 3-goal lead with 5 minutes to go. Coach Carroll may be more interested in burning some clock here.
Great speed by Bryan, cleaning that one up off the ground and legging it down the field. Yeah, I agree, Nick. Now, we asked, how hard are they going to go? I think you can start to slow the pace a little bit. 3-goal lead isn't something to make you comfortable with just under 5 minutes left in the game. But I think taking your time, not forcing anything, pulling it out a little bit, it's okay to kill some clock.
And again, it's time to press out if you're Gilford and take some chances, right?
Yeah, exactly. As we're seeing right now, higher pressure defense. Wouldn't be surprised if they stay in these double teams.
Meanwhile, Gregg does successfully split the double team, but able to draw some contact above the shoulders here. Clock going to continue to tick. Coming up on 4 minutes now. Gregg, shot, score, goal number 7. St. Thomas equals their largest lead from the first half at 15-11. I thought Gregg may have pulled that one out. Instead, foot stays on the gas for the junior. And the result is right there, 15-11 St. Thomas.
It sure does. Stay on the gas. Tallulah Gregg has been quite impressive this evening. I mean, that's just the kind of player she is. She plays big in big moments. I mean, she's pretty much been unstoppable on that 8-meter with those free positions. She's been strong in the draw circle, really good in transition. I mean, she is the kind of well-rounded player that is a great get for Vanderbilt.
Well, that's why she's going to be playing in the SEC in a couple of springs from now. And I bet she's going to sleep well tonight. For St. Thomas, she's taken a pretty good beating. Been the focal point of the attention of this Gilford defense. Has been on the field basically the whole game and has been on the turf several times. Detola on the wing captures a big face-off win for the Saints. The junior going to take a trip now behind the cage as this clock continues to tick, tick, tick. We're inside of 4 minutes. A chance for St. Thomas to take their largest lead of the game. The high water mark earlier was 5-1, right now 15-11. And meanwhile, another shot taken there above the shoulders by Gregg. Officials are all over it. And a restart coming from the near wing.
Yeah, she's still going hard. I mean, 3 minutes left in this game, up by 4. She is not touching the brakes, but that's the thing that's going to happen is if she continues to play hard like this, she's going to keep drawing those fouls and potentially, if we're see it right now, beyond the 8-meter again.
And again, Gilford really between a rock and a hard place at this point. You try to be aggressive, you try to force the turnover, but as a result, you may give up another free position shot. Meanwhile, Windward is up for the challenge here. Stops not 1 but 2 shots. Gets the outlet pass off, and here comes Gilford the other way. Windward up to a half a dozen saves. Coots down the middle, draws a crowd and is forced out. Good defensive effort there. That's Ava Leiter.
Yeah.
A little bit of a full extension from Detola draws the whistle.
Overall, good defense, though, and you have to stop transition. Like, they were going hard. Gilford has to go to cage right now, so I think that was a foul worth taking.
Watson's
and give Baker a chance.
Bouncer is denied by Baker. He has 12 saves unofficially tonight. We're inside of 2 minutes. The St. Thomas fans, I think they can smell it. Starting to get vocal here at Bill Ball Stadium. We do have a stoppage here. Minute 45 to go, but again, that clock is ticking.
Yeah, the clock's not going to stop until it's under a minute, so this is also just running clock off by fouling Olivia Keenan.
Keenan a chance for a hat trick. Step down shot. I don't know if that was a post or if that was a kick save. Either way, it ricochets, stays in bounds. Watson, her shot from in close is stopped by Baker. Baker has been outstanding. Outlet here to the near side. It's Leiter. Leiter gets the step. Looking for midfield here, right to left as we approach 1 minute remaining. Scanlon floats it. Trying to hook up there with Holden. It's broken up. Holden is knocked down. Keenan in the mix for Gilford, and the Golden Eagles have it. Now a push sends Coots flying. Quick restart. Clock tick, tick, ticking. 45 seconds. Blackie draws a double team. Another whistle. Blackie hits the gas on the restart, but a strip from behind by Detola. Clean takeaway there by the junior. St. Thomas right to left. We're inside of 30 seconds. On the run is Bryan. She's cut down from behind. Lost a stick in the process. The clock will stop with just inside of 22 seconds. St. Thomas and their fan base, they're on their feet, both on the sidelines and in the stands. Getting ready to celebrate what is likely going to be another state championship.
They know what's about to happen in 21 seconds, up by 4. They played an excellent game. I mean, both teams played really high-level lacrosse today. Both teams impressed me with their athleticism, their effort. Unfortunate to see, kind of these kind of careless fouls late in the game. We're going to get a yellow card to close this out, but that just means that St. Thomas is going to end this one a player up.
The violation against Addison Harris, 2-minute lock penalty. It comes with 18 seconds remaining. And again, that one perhaps born out of both frustration and desperation with just 18 seconds remaining. Greg going to take it. And perhaps fittingly, it's Greg who's going to close this one down. 7 goals to lead the way tonight for the Saints, including 3 big ones in the fourth quarter. The 2025 state champions in Division III, St. Thomas, as they do it for the second straight season over Gilford in the final. This time, the final score is 15-11. Greg, outstanding. As we mentioned, the 7 goals to lead the way, and then anchoring the defensive effort is senior goaltender Chloe Baker in her final game. She comes away unofficially with 13 saves. In defeat, Leanne Davignon was outstanding. Scored 4 goals tonight to try to keep her team in it. Also a good effort between the pipes by Lily Winward as she closes out her career with 6 saves unofficially. But in the end, it was destined to be St. Thomas, a 14-1 regular season record. Tonight marked their 13th straight victory. Postseason tournament wins over Co-Brown, Bow, and now Gilford. The Golden Eagles season and their 7-game win streak come to an end tonight. Still, though, a lot to celebrate for Coach Watson and her group, including 2 blowout tournament wins over both Laconia and Hopkinton, but they are going to have to settle for second place for a second straight season. Overall, though, great game to call, Kristen.
Great game.
And a fun one to watch.
A lot of back and forth energy from the crowd. I mean, this was an excellent environment to play a championship game. I mean, both teams' fan bases, they showed up, great energy, and really great competition. I do also have to say, apologies to Leah Davignon. I realize there's a typo on our
that makes a little more sense.
rosters.
Okay.
That makes so much more sense. Leah, great game.
Yes, Leanne is not typically spelled Lean, so the extra N threw us off.
Yes, sure did. Leah, great game.
Yeah, and again, congratulations to, I guess, the 14 combined seniors who end their career here at Bill Ball Field tonight. 9 on the Guilford side, 5 for St. Thomas. Davignon, one of them for Gilford. So Coach Watson going to hand out the runner-up medals at midfield. Get a look at the hardware down there on the turf. And as you brilliantly encapsulated earlier, it's really a mixed bag of emotions for these players. Obviously, you feel for Gilford coming so close for a second straight season. Certainly a lot to be proud of, but right now, a little bit of a gut punch. And then for St. Thomas, even those seniors who bow out as champions, a little bittersweet, having played their final high school game with their teammates.
Yeah, there's nothing like high school lacrosse. You form a special bond with each team that you're on. I mean, especially how stacked Gilford is with seniors. They're losing a lot. This program, they've got a lot of juniors, they've got a lot of talent on their roster, but they're losing a really strong senior class. And, it's hard to see anyone go. I think, great things ahead for all of these players, these student athletes. I mean, this is certainly not the ending that Gilford was hoping for, but they left it all out on the field. And then St. Thomas, I mean, this is what they had their eye on at the start of the season. This is where you want to end up. You want to be hearing your name called second, getting your medals, holding up that trophy. it's a really great feeling for this team and really well deserved.
Yeah, these two teams at the top of the standings really all season long. Gilford 12-2 during the regular campaign. As I mentioned, St. Thomas at 14-1. And then you look at the gap of some of these games in the tournament, including in the semifinal round. Both teams won by double digits. So the rest of the division perhaps has to play a little bit of catch-up despite the graduating senior classes. So I'd say, I know it's early, very early, but perhaps these two teams wouldn't be surprised if they were slated for another rematch next year, which would be the third straight time that they meet in the final.
I would not be surprised either, especially looking at the players that they're returning. Two really impressive programs who were both, appear to be well coached. They've got a lot to look forward to next season.
All right, let's start off with number 1, Hensley Harris.
There's Coach Carroll down there passing out the hardware. Back-to-back state championships for St. Thomas. And again, a well-played game here. Some good lacrosse on display, representing Division III well tonight here at Bill Ball Stadium. Kristen, your final thoughts, not just on this game, but really on both games. As earlier we saw Portsmouth down Souhegan in the Division I final. For their second straight championship, we see St. Thomas do the same, back-to-back champs in D3. Your final thoughts on what overall was a very good night for NHIAA girls lacrosse?
That is exactly my thought. I mean, the state was well represented today with really impressive student athletes, really high-level lacrosse players who are making a splash in New Hampshire, but also nationally. We're going to see these players at the collegiate level for years to come, and they have contributed to the legacy of New Hampshire lacrosse and really making a name for the state. And I think too, giving these younger athletes, these middle schoolers, something to look up to, and really setting the bar high for what's to come.
All right, I want to thank a few folks before we hit the exit, including our friends at the NHIAA, President Jeff Collins, his right-hand man, Dave Rosenbeck, representing down on the field here tonight, plus our collaborators over at the NFHS Network, led by Don Boyle. We appreciate that partnership and look forward to another broadcast. Well, as soon as tomorrow night, we've got the boys Division I semifinals on the way beginning at 5 o'clock here on the NFHS Network. I want to thank my man Sherm Chester, the public address announcer here, keeping us safe up here in the booth. And, of course, our friends over at Blue Hawk Media. And our family here at Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. That includes our hard-working videographers, not just tonight, but all season long. Matt Beals and Kat Doyle, a great 1-2 punch behind the lens. The whole thing orchestrated flawlessly by the man behind the curtain, the wizard of replay, our director, Ben Beals, back in the Beals Insurance Studios. And the whole thing guided by the unseen hand, the big man in the big chair, executive producer, Steve Beals. To my partner, Kristen Cameron, another great job tonight, another successful season for us here in the booth. Thank you for bailing me out and making me look smart. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Nick. It's always a pleasure.
Final score, final time. St. Thomas 15, Gilford 11. My name is Nick Anastas, saying so long. Final score, final time. I just gave it to you. I'll give it to you again, 15-11. This has been a presentation of the 2025 NHIAA Girls Lacrosse Division III State Championship game right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, broadcasted in conjunction with the NFHS Network.